So Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares said that Alfa Romeo is the crown jewel of Stellantis. Not Fiat that sells 1 million vehicles a year around the globe. Not Ram or Jeep that sells 1 million vehicles just in the US market. Not Chrysler, not Dodge that outsells Alfa Romeo. But Alfa Romeo is the crown jewel of Stellantis. Now, I don't know about Alfa Romeo being the crown jewel of Stellantis, but what I do know is that my friends at Gordon & Partners, they are the crown jewel among dealerships in the country. Because my friends at Gordon & Partners, they have helped me and several of you guys in the brotherhood through situations between you and the dealerships. Because I've had Gordon & Partners represent me, and I was able to get my money back from the dealership that they wanted to hold over a non-refundable deposit to a fake straw buyer. But my friends at Gordon & Partners, they saw through the BS and they helped me get my money back, and they're helping several of you guys in the background get the help that you need and help that you deserve. So you can use my special email address, butter@forteinjured.com, and they'll help you out in all the things that you need and in a timely fashion. Let's get on to this situation with Stellantis boss Carlos Tavares and him saying that Alfa Romeo is the crown jewel of Stellantis, which is pretty hilarious because you can kind of see why Dodge is failing right now, because the mindset behind Stellantis is to basically make these global brands appeal in the United States and making these American brands appeal a little bit less. So it kind of seems that is the situation going on here, that they're trying to promote Alfa Romeo and downplay Dodge in order for Alfa Romeo to take over in the US as a premium brand and maybe quite possibly kill off the Dodge brand, because that's kind of how it seems. But here we go right here. The Stellantis boss won't sell Alfa Romeo to the Chinese. The new Stelvio arrives in 2025. Now it makes sense why Stellantis will not sell off Alfa Romeo, because they're going to use it to basically be a sister brand to Dodge. And they're going to basically just reskin Alfa Romeo vehicles and make it into Dodge vehicles. And so if a situation ever arises to where they have a problem with Canada, they can just import them from Italy, just like they do right now with the Dodge Hornet. And then we're going to see with future Dodge products, are they going to be made here in America? Are they going to be made in Canada? Or are they going to be imported from either Italy or maybe even Poland? But we're going to see how even Stellantis had just gotten in trouble with importing vehicles from other countries trying to trick people. Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares, he basically introduced this new vehicle right here. This is basically a brand new electric vehicle to Alfa Romeo. I think it's maybe a little bit smaller than the Tonale. It's like a 2-door SUV. But Carlos Tavares, the head of Stellantis, stated that he declined offers to sell Alfa Romeo to other companies, affirming that it is the greatest jewel within the group, which they don't even sell that many vehicles, but I'll get to that one in a moment. During the debut of the all-new Alfa Romeo Milano, which isn't going to go so well, the Italian marquee confirmed its plans to unveil a next-gen Stelvio SUV in 2025, with the related new Giulia sedan coming in 2026. But he goes on to describe them as the greatest jewel for Stellantis, emphasizing its importance, which I honestly don't see Alfa Romeo's importance because they don't sell that many vehicles. So let's see. European sales for Alfa Romeo. They have been on a decline since 2001 from 200,000 units a year, dropping all the way down, keep dropping, down to only 32,000 units. Alfa Romeo, no matter what they do, they keep introducing new models, keep updating the brand still tanks in sales. But I mean, I can go on and on, right? Because if I go over here to Canadian market, boom, same thing. Sales dropping. I can go over here to, the US market. Boom, sales dropping, plummeting. But this is the crown jewel of Stellantis. I mean, didn't they make more Hellcats than what Alfa Romeo sold in all its vehicles from cars and SUVs. I see what right here in 2022, Alfa Romeo sold a paltry 12,845 vehicles in the US, representing a sizable 30% drop from 2021's tally. Here we go right here. They dropped again. So sales dropped down again for Alfa Romeo, but I saw another article. They're like, oh God, well, Alfa Romeo had a 9% increase from Q4 of 2023 from Q4 of 2022, but it still was a 15% drop. So they're picking and choosing where to prop up Alfa Romeo, but the brand is not that good. Dodge is a way better brand than Alfa Romeo. Like I said, you cannot really find where they tell you how many vehicles that Alfa Romeo sells around the globe. Now, I've seen numbers between 50,000 and like 80,000 units. But I mean, if you look at Dodge outsells Alfa Romeo by itself handily. They literally sell almost 3 times the amount of vehicles than Alfa Romeo does just in the US market alone. So Alfa Romeo may sell 60, 70, 80,000 units around the entire globe, but Dodge sells pretty much between 200 and 500,000 vehicles a year just in the US. So who is more of a crown jewel within Stellantis? Is it Dodge or Alfa Romeo? The only reason why these numbers are tanked was because during this time period, you get the loss of like the Caravan, that's lost. You had the loss of the Viper. So you pretty much have the loss of a lot of vehicles that it gave out, you know, that had a lot of production numbers. But even with right here, you only got 3 vehicles, the Challenger, the Charger, and the Durango. Even with just those numbers, they still outsell handily Alfa Romeo, which I don't subscribe to this whole nonsense that Alfa Romeo is the crown jewel. Dodge is a more important brand. And honestly, Dodge should be the priority of making the best vehicles and reskin Dodge vehicles into Alfa Romeo vehicles for the rest of the world. Because it seems as though we have a winning formula here. Alfa Romeo should be what mid-sized cars, and basically Stellantis should make mid-sized cars for the US market and have them built and branded as Dodge vehicles and just reskin them over for the European market. Because it seems like it doesn't make any sense to do the other way around. We're going to take Alfa Romeo vehicles and reskin them to the US market when Alfa Romeo can't even outsell Dodge on his worst year. Stellantis is kind of in denial with what they're doing Alfa Romeo, because Stellantis tried to pull the wool over Italy's eyes with last month. If you saw my other video where I covered that 94% of FCA employees were fired by Stellantis, you also remember seeing a slide where it said that I think about 3,000 Italian workers who actually work in the plants were also fired as well, because Stellantis made the decision to pull out this vehicle from Italy and make it in Poland. And this is what Italy had to say to Stellantis. Italy says that it is illegal for Alfa Romeo to build the Milano in Poland because of the name. So Italy strikes back. Stellantis Chief Executive Carlos Tavares says that building Milano in Poland has allowed the marquee to slash 10,000 euros from its price. From other articles that I was reading, that Stellantis was pissed off at the Italian government because they didn't want to give them as many subsidies that the US and Canada was doing, because they're not part of this whole nonsense of trying to ram EVs down everyone's throats. And so Stellantis was basically pissed off that it was not getting as much subsidies to make the price for these vehicles cheaper for them. So what they did was they actually built this vehicle in Poland because there's cheaper labor there, and they're going to import it back into Italy, I guess kind of to spite Italy for not giving them subsidies on their electric vehicles. But the Italian government is going to have the last laugh. The Italian government has a hit out for Alfa Romeo's decision to build its new Milano crossover in Poland, saying that building it outside of the brand's home nation is illegal. Shortly after Alfa Romeo unveiled the new model at a glitzy event, Italy's industrial minister Adolfo Urso asserted that building a vehicle dubbed the Milano outside of Italy violates the country's laws targeting products with Italian-sounding names that are not actually Italian. Now, I would like to say that if this law made it to the United States, where it is illegal to give America-sounding names to foreign products, literally almost every single product that you have in front of you would not sound American, right? Your iPhone wouldn't sound like that. Any of your cell phones, computers, cars, because just imagine that if the US government said, hey, Stellantis, Dodge, you cannot name the Charger and Challenger a Charger and Challenger because it's made in Canada. It is a Canadian name. What about, let's say, the Hornet? The Hornet is made in Italy. It should have an Italian sounding name, right? So there's a lot of vehicles that will be affected by this. And really, the only vehicles that stand out in my mind that would be actually still named American names is the Mustang, the Corvette, because they're both made in the US. Let's see, the Ram 1500s. You had the Durango, that still have an American sounding name. Grand Cherokee, still have American sounding name. Let's see, the Pacifica, we need this name changed. That's made up in Canada. But you can see there's a lot of vehicles that will have to have a name change if we had a law like this. A car called Milano cannot be produced in Poland, Urso said. The law stipulates that you cannot give indications that mislead customers. So a car called Milano must be produced in Italy. Otherwise, it gives a misleading indication, which is not allowed under Italian law. Now, this particular law that he's talking about is actually used in produce for cheese, which is down here. Where does it says that? Yeah, here we go. Stellantis had declined on comment in Urso's latest statement. The law cited by Italy's industrial minister has usually been invoked against food products like Parmesan cheese that's made in the US that resembles the authentic Parmigiano from Italy. I don't know what it is. I'm not Italian, obviously. But yeah. And then here we go. Yesterday, hey, look at that. The crown jewel had to rename the Milano to the Junior after a dispute with the Italian government. Wow, the crown jewel. An Italian minister has suggested use the Milano name was illegal as the crossover will be built in Poland. Wow, wow, wow. And taking a look at this SUV, it looks like this is like the SUV that's based off the Jeep Avenger, you know, the name that Stellantis stole from Dodge and put on that little crappy little Jeep SUV that's tiny as an electric vehicle. That's what I think this Milano is. It's basically like a Jeep Avenger reskinned into Alfa Romeo. And Stellantis told us they're gonna do the exact same thing. They're gonna take vehicles, reskin them, and throw them in all different brands. So it's quite funny that the crown jewel had to have this done to them. I don't remember Dodge having that happen to them. They had to rename the name of a car because the government got pissed off at them. But it just goes to show that the priorities of Stellantis do not make sense in the American market. You see right here, Alfa Romeo has the Tonale first, then they have this Milano second, then it's already said that there's gonna be another SUV, that's 3, and then another Giulia, that's 4. They've already told us of 4 vehicles coming, 4 different vehicles coming to Alfa Romeo. And then on the Dodge side here in America, all we know from last year to now is that we got a new Hornet, which is basically an Alfa Romeo vehicle. And then we got a brand new Charger, which is, to me, in my eyes, it looked like a reskinned Gran Turismo from Maserati. And I saw a comment somebody made in my video where they were saying that the Charger looked like a reskinned E-Legend from Peugeot, which probably makes sense on how they got that vehicle designed and built so fast because they already had a prototype already built from Peugeot. So that makes sense. So you only have 2 indications of new vehicles from Dodge and 0 of anything else, right? You don't have no indication of a Durango replacement, nothing announced, nothing said. So it just shows how their priorities has kind of destroyed Dodge in the process. Dodge, who sells way more vehicles than Alfa Romeo, is getting destroyed because they want to turn Alfa Romeo into a global brand and downplay Dodge, which is not going to work in America because we do not like Alfa Romeos. If you go Google search right now, Alfa Romeo, you'll see tons of articles actually about Alfa Romeo's quality. And you can just go around to any Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram dealership. You will barely find any Alfa Romeos on the lots or even as a sign on the building. we just don't like them. And then I was looking the other day, that even in North Carolina, there's only 3 dealers and they're like 2-3 hours from me. Their priorities are out of whack and Dodge is suffering for it. Dodge has a more rabid fan base around the world than Alfa Romeo does around the world. And it's just sad that it kind of seems as though my gut feeling is that Stellantis is going to basically milk Dodge for all it's worth, strip it down, and then when it gets to the point where they really cannot make any money out of Dodge, they're going to basically just sell it off to another brand. I think he's going to try to, this is just my gut feeling, that then they're going to try to prop up Alfa Romeo to overtake Dodge in the US and increase sales. And then once they do that, I see Dodge getting sold off. I think I see Dodge and Chrysler getting killed off, because there's really the direction that Stellantis trying to take Dodge and Chrysler doesn't even make sense. And I don't even know if even Jeep or Ram even was going to survive, because talking dealerships in the background, they have so much inventory that no one's buying. I don't know what's going to happen with those 2023 vehicles. And I've even had some dealers tell me they're not even going to buy any 2024 vehicles from Stellantis. They're going to skip 2024 because they have so many 2023 inventory that it doesn't make sense. And they're going to skip all the way over to 2025. So they're going to order vehicles for a whole year, hopefully deplete some of the inventory of these older vehicles that Stellantis will not give them incentives on, and then just start over 2025. But I mean, these dealers see the writing on the wall. There's nothing that this brand is offering to make them want to come off these demons. They're using these demons to prop up their floor plans, and they're trading vehicles amongst each other in order to reset their floor plans. That these dealers, they are literally bleeding. And you can see why sometimes you have a hard time negotiating with them to drop the prices on vehicles, because they can't afford to. And Stellantis not doing anything for them. And so it's going to be a very tough time. And I've talked to a bunch of dealers, and they have a hard time seeing Dodge lasting 5 years. Hell, someone will tell me maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, they don't see Dodge surviving, because they was telling me that there may not be nothing left for the brand. But let me know what you guys think. Is Alfa Romeo the crown jewel of Stellantis, or should Dodge have been the crown jewel and those vehicles reskinned into Alfa Romeo vehicles? But let me know what you guys think. And until the next time, I'm out.